Port Deputy General Manager Anisha Terlahi hopes to set the record straight tonight that the port followed all the procedures relative to the rehiring of her nephew Patrick Sablon, a cargo checker at the port.
And I have nothing to hide regarding the hiring of my nephew. He went through the appropriate channels. He actually applied by himself, and he was directed to provide documents, which he did.
As we reported earlier this month, Sablon was hired at the port but did not hold a Transportation Worker Identification Credential Card, a requirement of the position. She says Sablon went through the interview process and upon his selection went through a screening process inclusive of a drug test which he passed. She signed off on his employment as the acting manager at the time. A cargo checker is required to have a TWIC card, however it occurs after the employee gets on board and is not part of the initial application. She says only workers who required unsecured access to secured areas of the maritime facilities required to have a TWIC card.
You know, getting a TWIC card is not within our jurisdiction. It is a TSA requirement, and I will be mentioning a little bit about that.
She adds reports that Sablon's TWIC card was canceled upon his previous resignation are, quote, erroneous, end quote, considering that TWIC cards weren't required at the port until late 2008. And relative to allegations on nepotism, as she stated earlier this month, the hiring of her nephew doesn't fall in line with the port's rules and regulations. However, KUAM has recently learned that the port has hired an equipment operator who happens to be the brother of both an operations manager and a transportation superintendent, which would fall within the nepotism section of the port's rules and regulations. Although she would defer to have the issue, if any, to the port's general manager and human resources division, she doesn't hold any grudges or have any personal objection to it, but does believe she was unjustly targeted.
Well, you know, as far as the hiring decision, I leave it up to our GM. But I just thought that it's very unfair of mainly whoever provided the report